What's happening, Sean?
Hey, how's it going? It's Friday.
It's doing all right. Been a long day already. A lot of wrapping up from our podcast last night with David Aragona, which is a good podcast for Belmont. So if you haven't checked that out, get on over to Horse Racing Radar. Look that up. A lot of great information from the Moneyline maker, the odds maker for the NYRA tracks at Belmont, Aqueduct, and Saratoga. What'd you think about that?
Yeah, it was a great show. And like I say all the time, and you say too, we learn stuff and we've been around the sport for a while. So if you're new to it, they're really informational. And we give out our picks too, whether you want to use them or fade them or whatever. But you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot and form your own opinion and figure the game out itself if that's something you want to get into.
It looks like the Milwaukee Bucks have to figure the game out themselves. Otherwise, they might end up getting broomed.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Milwaukee does at home. I definitely think Phoenix is going to win. I thought that before the series. It's just a matter of how many games Milwaukee's going to win. And like the Canadians, Tampa Bay, we'll find out a lot in Game 3.
Yeah, if for Milwaukee to make it a series, they got to protect their home turf. I suspect they're going to get a great effort out of Milwaukee. I would probably think strong and heavy about betting the Milwaukee Bucks in the first quarter tomorrow. Got anything rolling right now? I'm live on the Cubs game at the moment. My Cubbies are winning 4-2. Hopefully they can close one out and not lose their 13th out of 14.
Yeah, I didn't have anything. I kept looking at St. Louis though because they were a plus line and Chicago's been really struggling, but I stayed away from it.
Yeah, so last night you covered on your over, right? And you got pretty fortunate with San Diego down 7-0 or 8-0 or something.
8-0, yeah.
And come back to win.
We always remember the bad beats. We got to remember the good things that shouldn't have happened either. I mean, all my reasons for taking San Diego, none of them came to tuition at all. They just came back and won. So
the only reason I figured I would take San Diego in my account is they would score one more run in Washington. Yeah. I didn't know that they would give up 8. Give them a 8-run head start. But that's what are you going to do?
That's unbelievable. And that was almost, we were on the other podcast, the horse racing one, so we didn't see. I knew they were down big. I had no idea they were coming back. We got to catch the end of it with them tying it up and then taking the lead. So very fortunate with that pick.
Yeah, I mean, I also did the my other game, the New York Mets rained out, but the New York Red Bulls played. They had the lead until 5 minutes left to go in the game, and they ended up getting tied. Now, I should have remembered to do tie no bet, but sometimes when you do the tie no bet in soccer, you end up getting really crappy odds. So a lot of times the team that scores first ends up winning the game in soccer. I think it's like 80%. The home team wins like 60%. So I don't know if you call that a bad beat. I don't think it's a bad beat. I think it's soccer, but I've had a lot of success taking home MLS teams with plus lines and in winning. So I suspect over the course of the MLS season, when I throw a bet out there, the end result will be a net positive return on investment.
Yeah, and if you can live, I don't really bet Major League Soccer, but if you could live bet it too, you could have guaranteed a profit, I'm sure, with 5 minutes left taking Philly or you would have had to take the tie. But then that you even, this goes back to the money management and what's better and what's not. You could put the tie in and then Philly wins and then you lose out on both.
Both ways, yeah. Well, the one thing that you can do, I feel like in soccer is that you can bet, if you like a team, you can bet the win and the tie. And still, because of Dutch betting, probably generate a positive return. So that's something I'll start thinking about going forward too. But like I said, I've done MLS last year and had a lot of success in MLS. I suspect that it'll continue because the home team in MLS wins over 60% of the time, and still you end up getting plus lines most of the time, which is you win at 60% and you get a plus line. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's good. And when we get, a lot of new people are discovering us on Facebook and stuff today. As we go along here, throw your comments up and we'll get into it. Throw your best bets out there. And when we get to that game, we'll get into your reasons why.
Yeah, pretty soon too, we're going to have a website up. I'm finishing the final touches. It's going to be a social site. It's going to be, all about sports betting and, making money. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about stocks. I have a little bit of history in that too. And it's going to all about trying to build up your bankroll. And however we can do that, we can do that. If that means you fade us to build up your bankroll, which might be what you want to do right now, then fade us. But at the same time, it's going to be a community. We're all in this to learn. It's like a family. It's all of us against Vegas, baby. And, you know, we want to make sure that we can get the edge.
Yeah, and you also ride the wave, kind of like the Padres yesterday. You know, they were down 8-0. They came back. They might roll now a couple games because of all that momentum. So I was behind the 8 ball, you know, 7-15, and I got a lucky break. And maybe that's signs of things to come, and the wave will change around, and now we'll start winning. So just follow how we're doing, whether we're really hot or really cold.
Yeah, well, that's really a good way to go. Over the course of time, I know, because I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of bets, I have the same routine over and over and over again, and I know my win rate, and it fluctuates a little bit from month to month, but I know that I win at about 52, 53%. And I'm also putting in some additional research to kind of find some trends that win at a little higher rate with plus line. So I haven't quite finished that research yet, but I can promise you that there's nobody who spends more time in the numbers trying to analyze the data and the trends and learning about the math side of things. And then I look at the qualitative side as well. But anyway, enough of the boring behind the scenes stuff. Let's just get right to baseball, because it's really the only thing to talk about today.
Yeah, we're going to have a slow week next week because baseball's going to be on break. So we'll have the finals, and maybe we can talk more about this stuff.
Well, we can make some things up too. We'll bet soccer. We'll talk about NFL futures. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we can talk about, right? So it's not limited to.
There's always something to bet on. We all know that. If you're betting, you know, you can find whatever you want to bet on.
Well, hell, during the COVID, they had what is that stuff where they throw the bean bags? Cornholing?
Cornhole, yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of Beavis and Butthead, but you could bet on cornholing. I'm like, yeah, I'm not betting on that, because then you really need to call 1-800 for sure. So let's break into baseball. Let's crack with the first game. Is the Chicago White Sox and the Baltimore Orioles. Right now, the White Sox are they're the favorite, but I think maybe we both agree on something here.
Yeah, this is my plus line play of the day, because if you give up a run and a half, you get plus 102. And the White Sox got Dallas Keuchel going, and Baltimore's got Lopez going. Lopez is 2-11 with an ERA over 6, and has taken a loss the last 5 starts. And then I also did my own calculations today. Baltimore has 27 losses at home. 22 of them were by 2 or more. And then the White Sox, they're 20-21 on the road. 16 of their 20 road wins were by 2 or more runs. The road wins, they win by an average of 4.85 runs per game. And then Baltimore, their 27 losses, they lose by an average of 4.63 runs per game. So it's a big.
So that means that the White Sox win by 9? Is that how that math works?
Yeah, it might be. And then White Sox are 4-0 versus Baltimore this year, winning a combined 18-7. So there's a lot of numbers here that you're already getting a better team. If you're worried about that run, mathematically, it looks like if it's going to happen and the White Sox are going to win, they're going to win by a lot more than
by 9
runs. Yeah,
I did the math there. So I agree with you. I'm on the plus line on this. I'm on the run line on this game as well. The pitcher Lopez probably didn't sleep very well last night. White Sox have batted .321 against him. They have an OPS of .961. They got 6 home runs, 14 runs in 21.1 innings pitched. The guy's not fared very well versus the Chicago White Sox. You know, to be truthful, Keuchel has not been all that great against Baltimore either, but he's not been anywhere near that bad. The White Sox have the number 4 plus run differential in all of baseball, and only Arizona has a more negative run differential than Baltimore. So when you line everything up, your numbers, the way things lay out on paper, the pitching matchup, White Sox have a much better bullpen. They have a much better offense. It should be White Sox in a blowout. I'm with you. White Sox plus 102.
My only concern is, we talk about this a lot, it seems too good to be true that this is a plus line.
Well, it's sucker's bet, as they call it. And you know, the funny thing is that you bring that up is that on the money line, roughly 70% of all the wagers are on the White Sox, but almost 56 cents on the dollar has been bet on the Orioles. So it looks like the so-called smart money is laying their dollars on the Orioles at plus 120. They think that they have a shot in this game. But oddly, it's a little bit not as distorted taking 1.5 versus the White Sox giving 1.5. So it's interesting. I guess they're expecting a low scoring game here with about 70 cents on the dollar on the under 10 runs.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because neither pitcher has been that effective, and like you said, not effective against each other neither. It's also odd to me when you find something like that with Baltimore, all the money on Baltimore. I could see you not wanting to bet the White Sox and not trusting the White Sox, but who looks at this game and where are the stats to say I'm betting on Baltimore to win it?
Just somebody who's just trying to cash a ticket. That's all I feel like. But you never know. Maybe they feel like the White Sox are vulnerable. Keuchel did not pitch very well last game, but Baltimore's one out of 3. They're 10 and 20 against lefties. So all the numbers line up. I don't care what the smart money does. I only care what the score is at the end of the game. I expect the White Sox are going to win by 9.
11-2.
11 as well. I'll take it. That's the over, right? That's the way we break it down. All right. So next up is Atlanta and Miami. God, I hate betting Atlanta, and I hate betting Miami because I can't seem to catch the right side of either one of those two teams.
No, I don't know what to do with this game. This is one I've seen the pitching matchup: Charlie Morton versus Zach Thompson. They both done all right this year. Neither team can be trusted. This is one I glanced at and went, "There's got to be better bets out there." I'm not touching it.
Yeah, I don't like to bet either team. Like I said, no matter what side I'm on, I seem to get kicked in the shin.
Yeah, if I had to go either way, I might go Miami if somebody held a gun to my head. But it's not. This is not one I would bet.
I would say based upon the action in the game, from what I see, it looks like the majority, like the consensus is the game goes under 7.5 runs. I don't know about that either. I'm not. Charlie Morton, he's leaving after 5 innings because he's too old to go past that. And if he doesn't really throw hard, so if he's not hitting the plate, he is susceptible to give up runs, though he doesn't do it that often. But when he does get hit, sometimes he gets hit hard. For me, it's a hard pass. I'm not interested in that game at all. Pittsburgh and the New York Mets. I was on this game last night. I like the Mets as a run line. And they went earlier in the day, they were a negative run line. So I went off of the game. And then right before we came on, they went to plus 102, plus 100 on the run line. So I'm back on the Mets. This is one of the biggest mismatches in terms of home away run differential on the board today. And on top of that, Tijuan Walker has just been incredible for the Mets at home this year, who have the best home pitching staff, bar none. I think the Mets win this game, maybe even shut out the Pirates.
Yeah, I could see that. And this ain't an official play, but I was looking at it too, and I saw the negative run line, and I just didn't trust the Mets offense enough to give up a run and a half. Mm-hmm. But this is one of those games I like. I know everybody doesn't want to do parlays and everything, but this is one of those games that if you're doing a parlay tonight, throw the Mets on. They should win the game.
Yeah, well, right now it looks like about 80 cents out of the dollar is on the Mets minus 1.5. So it's a pretty popular bet for the Mets. Like I said, Tijuan Walker has been lights out, and I expect that he'll continue to be lights out against an offense that struggles to score. I mean, it's easy to be a good pitcher against a bad hitting team if you've got decent stuff. He's been much better this year, Walker, than he has been in years past. So I don't know. Maybe he's maybe not being able to grip the ball has helped him a little bit. So now we're going to go on to Toronto and Tampa Bay. Toronto is one of the highest scoring teams. Tampa Bay is one of the better teams. This is a key AL East matchup. There's some value in maybe taking Toronto here. I don't know.
There could be, and that's what I would go if I had to. But the thing is, we talked about the other week on the horse racing show about a jockey that no matter if you picked them, they would win or lose. One of those, if you don't pick them, they win. If you do pick them, they lose. Toronto and Tampa, I feel like it's been like that all year for me. Anytime I touch their games, it's the opposite. So I can't get a handle on these two teams and how they play each other. So I would trust Toronto's offense more. And I mean, the pitching matchup, Toronto's might have a little bit of an advantage. Alex Moran 2.7 ERA versus Shane McClellan's 4.18. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't touch it.
Yeah, I couldn't touch this game either. But if I had to lean one way or the other, I think Tampa Bay holds all the edges, but not enough for me to take minus 127. I wasn't getting enough value in that, so I skipped over that one. Kansas City and Cleveland. I was looking towards leaning on Cleveland, but then I looked at the pitching matchup, and Keller's had a pretty good run against the Indians, whereas McKenzie hasn't been as strong against the Royals.
Yeah, another one. I don't trust either team's offense. Neither. These offenses sometimes are just completely no good. So the pitching matchup looks like it could be a high run game, but then if you look at the offenses, it might not be. And I didn't trust either team.
Yeah, me either. I passed on this game. The Phillies versus the Boston Red Sox. Right now, the Phillies are minus about plus 110, 115. Looks to me like the line has kind of moved a little bit in their direction and a little bit away from Boston. Maybe folks feel like the Phillies bats got healthy against my Chicago Cubs.
Well, they have been getting healthy too. And Vince Velasquez is starting to pitch really well too. I just don't think there's enough value there. I think Boston's the better team. So I didn't touch it. If I wanted to touch it, Boston's not a bad price to take. But I wouldn't take the red line.
If I were going to take this game, Boston has a pretty dominant run differential advantage home away. They have a pretty dominant power ranking advantage for the home away. The Phillies only win about 40% of their games on the road. The Boston's won about 60% of their games at home. If I were going to play this game in any way, shape, or form, I would lean towards run lining the Boston team, taking minus 1.5. And right now, Boston minus 1.5 looks like it's plus 140. So that would be the line I would probably take there. It looks like the majority of the opinion thinks this game is going under 11 runs, which is taking about 88 cents out of every dollar on the people who are betting the total. The other two, the run line and the money line, are a little bit closer to 50-50. So I'm passing on the game, but I thought about Boston minus 1.5 plus 140. It was contemplated.
Yeah,
getting enough value to do it.
I think the over-under is kind of set pretty good too, that it would give me problems to go either way. Like I said, Vince Velasquez is starting to pitch well, but he's been known on the road especially to just have really bad games. So
to melt.
He could be due for one of those too. And Boston's bats have come alive. Philly's bats have come alive. So I don't trust the over-under neither.
Yeah, me either. I don't like betting totals in baseball because the games are either 1-0 or 100-0, something along those lines. There's no.
Well, and pitchers either show up and have really good stuff, and a lot of times you can tell in the beginning, and that might be when you want to do the over/under. They either show up and are really good, or they just don't have it.
Yeah, and then they get shelled. Oakland and Texas. This is a game I was looking at too, thinking Oakland had a pretty good shot at winning this game. They have a lot of advantages. But then again, I looked at Corey Irvin. It's been okay against Texas. And then I looked at the Lyles, the pitcher for the Rangers, and he's pitched fairly well against the Oakland Athletics. So if I were going to go anywhere, all of my metrics say you got to take Oakland. But the pitching matchup took me off the game. If I were going to take anything, this might be a home team that can pull off the win tonight and provide you a plus line.
Yeah, I could put money on Texas. And Cole Irvin's starting to pitch better. Pretty good. He's had a couple good starts. I leave that game alone.
Cincinnati and Milwaukee. Milwaukee's been pretty hot, but Cincinnati was in Milwaukee not too long ago and got the better of them. I think swept them. So they're back to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's looking for some revenge. Got a couple of lefties facing off against each other. It's, again, a game I was contemplating taking Milwaukee in, but I think it's a 50-50 game. Milwaukee's minus 118. I can't take a 50-50 game and get a such a negative line.
Yeah, I didn't see anything to tilt my opinion either way. Cincinnati 17-20 as the underdog, so they're holding their own as an underdog. It was a toss for me.
Yeah, I think Milwaukee is something like 13 games above 500 against teams that are under 500. So they feasted on teams that are under 500, and Cincinnati is a few games under 500.
Actually, so this should be an entertaining game without betting on. I think, these two teams are getting in form, and Cincy really needs to start winning too, and they need to beat Milwaukee to start catching up to them before the break too.
Well, the insiders, the people with the special information, they're putting about 70 cents out of every dollar on Milwaukee, whereas only about 60% of the bets actual tickets. So there's a little bit of a premium on the in the money side. So it says that the bigger bets are coming in on Milwaukee. New York Yankees versus the Houston Astros. This is another dude that's losing sleep last night. Cortez Jr., the pitcher for the New York Yankees. And I'll tell you why in a moment, but what do you think?
This is one I couldn't go either way. Yankees are starting to get in form a little bit. The Astros have been, they were starting to get hot. Now they didn't do so well yesterday. If I had to go one way, I'd go Houston, but I'm leaving it alone.
This is a game I think you can run line to. Nestor Cortez Jr., I'm telling you, did not sleep last night against the Houston Astros. You know what the Astros are batting against him?
I have no idea.
Ted Williams, 400 versus the young man. They have an OPS of 1488. I mean, they've just destroyed this guy. 6 innings, 16.5 ERA, 12 hits, 12 runs, 6 home runs. That's pretty good. Minute Maid Park, it gets worse. The dude has pitched 3 innings against the Yankees at Minute Maid Park. I mean, against Houston in Minute Maid Park. 9 hits, 10 runs, 4 home runs. So one of two things is going to happen. The guy's going to walk everybody, or he's going to, regress to the mean hard and, throw a no-hitter, or he's not going to get out of the 3rd inning. And if he can't get out of the 3rd inning, Houston has one of the best home run differentials in all of baseball. I think they're number 1 or maybe number 2 in run differential for all of baseball. Yankees are slightly over 500 on the road. The Yankees do have the bullpen advantage, but it's got to be in this guy Nestor's head that Houston has just dominated him, like Darvish before he figured out they were banging the cans.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's been pitching really good this year, 1.29 ERA in like 20-some innings, so we'll see if it's just a bad matchup for him or not.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Well, I'm on the run line there. I'm on the money line. I think it's -1 right now. It's -132. I'll take -132. 129, whatever. Detroit, Minnesota. This is a game I think of teams where if I were going to go any side, I mean, this is a chance maybe to cash a road team up 210.
Yeah, I mean, you could. And Detroit's starting to play a lot better, and we've talked about the Twins for this week. Like, Vegas hasn't adjusted. The Twins are just not a good team. So that I didn't play it, but maybe in my personal account, that does seem like a very good investment at plus 210.
Yeah, plus 210, 215, 208, somewhere in there, depending on what book you get. Although Maeda, it sounds like the pup thinks that we're onto something there. He's telling you, do it.
Yeah, she's either telling me to do it or stay away. I'm not sure which one.
Or, dude, I got to go to the bathroom. Give me a snack. That's probably more like it. Mine's sleeping right here next to me. I don't know. When I point, I got to point that way or that way because the camera's reversed. But mine's sleeping right over here. So if somebody comes in, I'm sure she'll introduce herself as well. Right, girl? All right, so Washington versus San Francisco. Is this Washington team able to get over that crushing defeat last night to San Diego?
Yeah, you would think that Washington may, it may take a game or two, or maybe not, because baseball is one of those things. It's 162 games. You just got to get over what happened the night before. But that is pretty crushing. Paulo Espino has pitched pretty good, though. And, but Logan Webb's been pretty good, too. So
I think about the Cubs. The Cubs were beating the hell out of Milwaukee. So they played 2 really tight games against Milwaukee and lost. And then they got in the 3rd game, and they were up 7-0 in the 1st inning and just got shelled and lost that game by, I think, 15-7 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then after that, they just tumbled. I don't know that Washington's going to follow that same script, but I suspect they have to have a little bit of the what the hell is going on in their mind frame that we can't hold on to a 7-run inning and a 7-run lead or 8-run lead. And I feel sometimes that when that happens, people, they try to be too perfect. And when you try to be too perfect, nothing seems to go right. So I think San Francisco is a good play here at -146. Not an official bet, but is one that, if I were to make a bet, I would be on the Giants for sure.
I will say Washington's offense is starting to really click. I don't know if they just really like San Diego or San Diego's pitching was bad, but they were really rolling in that series.
Maybe a little bit of both, right? Because sometimes that's how it works. Arizona and the Dodgers. I mean, this could be there's such a huge negative line on the run line. Maybe you want to give up 3 runs or something and get a plus line with the Dodgers. Maybe it's just, you take the negative 265, you take the Mets, you take all of those games that you say you add to parlays and you stick them all together for a couple dollars and hope you hit something because, I mean, the only value in any of this is the Arizona. It ain't a chance of hell they're going to win.
So this is actually one of my plays too. I'm going to take the -1.5 for -130. It's just, I know it might be a bad value, but Dodgers are 28-13 at home, 22 by 2+. They're 7-0 versus Arizona this year. 5 of them came by 2+.
I think everybody's 7-0 against except Colorado.
Colorado, yep. Mm-hmm. Arizona's 10-36 on the road, and 26 of those games are by 2+. And they're 1-14 the last 15 games against the Dodgers.
Well, so, I don't have any question the Dodgers are going to win this game. But for me, -134, I mean, they could be up 2 runs. They're not going to put in their best pitchers at the end of the game. A guy hits a home run, and you're sitting there kicking yourself, and you're not getting value for it. I can't do it personally, but I hope you win, Sean.
Yeah, I just, this is one of the – I feel like I have more confidence in the Dodgers winning by 2 runs than I do, say, a toss-up game on Milwaukee-Cincinnati being on the right side of it. So I'm giving up some value, but my confidence is a lot higher with the Dodgers.
Well, maybe you do an alternative line, -2 or something like that, and because they have to win by 2 anyway, right?
Yeah.
To cover the 1.5. So if you go -2 and they win by 2, it's a push. You don't win, but maybe you turn it into a positive line then.
And that's another thing I want to start looking at and maybe venturing to myself is even like these underdogs. A lot of times, like you said, what is it, 70% of the games or whatever, you're winning by 2 or more runs. Mm-hmm. Right? So say you take the Tigers, I don't know what the value is, but they're plus 210. If they beat the Twins by 2 runs or more tonight, I bet you get tons of value there.
Yeah, maybe 400. Well, we could look at some alternative lines. We'll have some of those tomorrow when we talk, early in the morning, because Sean likes to wake me up early in the morning. Colorado and San Diego. They haven't decided, I guess, on who the pitcher is for San Diego, but I guess that doesn't matter because they're a huge favorite at -230.
Yeah, I think it was the last I saw was Blake Snell. Mm-hmm. And this is another one of my plays. San Diego -1.5 run line, -106 is what I had it at this morning.
That's what it is now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Snell, if he does go, 7 starts at home, his ERA is 1.43. They're 32-17 at home, winning 23 of them by 2+. And like we've talked about, came back from 8-0 yesterday, so all the momentum should be going their way. Colorado, we've talked about the road record, 7-33. 26 of those have been by 2+, and they've lost 8 straight in San Diego. So this doesn't look competitive at all. Now, I will say, Kyle Freeland, I've played Colorado while they're at home, while he's pitching. He has started to pitch really well the last 4 or 5 starts. So that was one worry, but at the same time, he's got to come back to reality too. So this might be it because San Diego's starting to roll offensively too. Their pitching's giving up some stuff, but offensively they're rolling.
So mine's starting to whine over here a little bit. She's telling me, hurry it up. Let's see. LA Angels. We're going to wrap it up with the LA Angels and the Seattle Mariners. Mario Gonzalez, I was on him last time he pitched, unfortunately, because he pitched me right into a L. That L next to his name is not for lefty, it's for loser. They're plus 110 at home against the Los Angeles Angels. And right now, it looks like the majority of the money is on the Angels at -124. I'm not a big fan of the Angels on the road. Can't play this game.
No, I didn't see much value there. I will say Seattle is 35-32 as the underdog. So they're winning more games than not. So when you're getting the plus line, they've been profitable, but they're hard to trust. And the Angels are a decent team.
Well, Seattle does have the run differential for home and away, so they score more runs at home than the Angels do on the road, and it's a pretty much a 50-50 as to which team is better in Seattle, LA, or the Seattle team. But the home team in baseball wins at about 53-54% of the time, so you should have a little bit of an advantage there, I think, with Seattle. Maybe you could take them as a plus line. They've won a lot of games at home this year, and about 57%, and the Angels are under 500 on the road. So if I were going to take one, I would take Seattle, but I'm not going to take one because I can't stand either one of those teams. Every time I bet Seattle, much like when I bet on The folks from Atlanta, I lose, or Miami, I lose. So I don't want to take that route. All right, Sean. So for me, I'm Mets run line. I am White Sox run line. And I am Houston money line. Who are you?
I am San Diego -1.5 run line, -106. Dodgers -1.5 run line, -130. And the White Sox -1.5 run line, +102.
Fantastic. All right. So that wraps up our picks for today. Tonight, Sean and I will be joined by Tom from Tom and Tom Racing to go over the Delaware Handicap in great detail. Got a lot of great statistics for that race, some good pace analysis, some good late pace analysis, a little bit of history. Of course, we'll have our picks tomorrow. If you head on over to Horse Racing Radar, you can go ahead and make your selections and join the contest. We look forward to seeing you there. Until next time, everybody, good luck at the window. I forgot to update race number 7 and all that.
You're still live.